Sometimes I hate when things move quickly because I recorded an episode before Matthew Tkachuk was traded to the Florida Panthers. So this episode and also tomorrow's episode is nothing more than just a what if episode, more of a hypothetical scenario. I'm still going to post it in respect towards Jake and the time he took to record it. But just giving you guys a disclaimer, this was recorded officially before Matthew Tkachuk became a Florida Panther. I'm in shock, and quite honestly, I can't really be mad about that because I saw the return package, and it would have been a lot for New Jersey Devils. So for next few days, I will be actually on vacation, so that's why I brought in Jake Wakely and also Christy Flannery the next day or two to come in and speak because I was just trying to plan it out, but nothing goes according to plan, so just giving you guys that disclaimer. Well, the last couple episodes, I had Jersey Joe on to discuss his opinions about the New Jersey Devils' offseason so far and the possibility of them acquiring Matthew Tkachuk from the Calgary Flames. And now, for these next couple episodes, I'm going to talk to Jake Wakely as we mostly discuss the trade scenario for Matthew Tkachuk. Is it possible? What is Jake hearing? Because he was able to find information during our recording and he had a lot of compelling stuff to share. There's a lot to discuss these next couple days. Two-part crossover with Jake Wakely. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Stevens stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here on the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play-by-play announcer, and also Devils writer for Pucks and Pitchforks, Trey Matthews. Joined alongside me is the other half of Heads Up Hockey podcast. It is Jake Wakely. He's appeared on this show before, friend of Jersey Joe. Jake, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Trey. How about yourself?
Man, these rumors are causing me all sorts of stress right now because it's just like, on the one hand, I don't want to get too excited. But on the other hand, I'm just like, maybe there is a chance because the Devils are one of the few teams that could actually pull that trade off. I think everyone knows what I'm referring to. But before we talk about that, Jake, the last time you appeared on this show, you talked about your overall perceptions of the New Jersey Devils and in regards to how their season went. Can you remind everyone what your opinions were for the Devils for the most part when the season concluded? Like, what were your overall opinions when the season was over?
When the season was over, my first priority for this team was to fix their goaltending. And they needed to add a top six winger, more so a difference maker, but somebody who has playoff experience and leadership to kind of guide these kids and continue to help them to grow. And I felt like they could, they needed to fill out their assistant coaches and stuff like that. And they needed to, they needed to limit like the mistakes on defense. So they needed to add a bit more physicality, some more size. We know Tom Fitzgerald likes his big size defenseman. Is right now we don't have a defenseman under 6 foot, which says how they want to build this team. Obviously that'll change when Luke Hughes joins the team. But I think they definitely added the top six forward in Andre Palat. I think he's going to bring excellent leadership and a veteran presence to this team. Eric Holla was a great pickup for Pavel Zacha. We'll get into the stats and all that kind of stuff. But, overall, I think Tom Fitzgerald so far has nailed the offseason. The Vanacek one, I'm still up in the air on. I got to see this, like with him, if he plays more games than Blackwood, because he kind of splits it with Samsonov when he was in Washington. I feel like there was a little bit better options there, but, that's the way they decided to go. They saw the price of the goalie market, and, it looks like it was a smart move, and they signed him for only a $3.4 million extension, which, by the way, is a bargain for a goalie nowadays anyway, considering what they get paid.
That's what I was telling people. We got Vanacek on the down low because what I was expecting was a 3-year deal. I didn't think that the contract would be that cheap because I was relating his situation to sort of like how Tristan Jarry was going through it with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I was expecting for something like that. I said, anticipate a 3-year deal for Vitek Vanacek, and lo and behold, he was signed to a 3-year extension. So we'll talk about the New Jersey Devils free agents and also trades. But first, let's talk about the NHL draft. So Jersey Joe, he is big on Simon Nemec. Basically, that was his pick for the New Jersey Devils to draft. And he has said nothing but nice things about Nemec and what he could potentially bring to the Devils organization. What were your initial reactions watching the draft? Because for so long, the Devils were geared up to possibly draft Juraj Slafkovský, another Slovakian player. But ultimately, people got a little smarter. Shane Wright didn't do so well in interviews based on what I was hearing, which is why he fell to the Seattle Kraken at number 4. Juraj Slafkovský, I felt as though Slafkovský should have been the first overall pick. And I was like, the Devils would have gotten a bargain had he fallen to number 2. But what were your initial reactions just watching the draft, seeing Slafkovský go number 1, Nemec go number 2, and so on?
I honestly, I'm surprised, but I wasn't surprised at the same time because I kept telling my buddies there who are Habs fans, there's a lot of talk. Slafkovsky's going to go 1. Don't be surprised if they do it because it's hard to find power forwards. And he's like, no, they'll take Shane Wright. How do you pass on the center? Which I agree. And then once Slafkovský got taken 1, I was like, okay, we're either in for, this is about to get crazy and nuts, or they'll just take Shane Wright or Logan Cooley, which I thought they were going to do. And then when they took Simon Nemec, I was like, huh. I was almost shocked, because I didn't think they'd actually go through with it if they did. And I feel like they could have traded down, but then it came out that Seattle Kraken were very high on Nemec. So honestly, I think it was a smart move that they took him now that I think about it, because the Devils do need defense, and just the ability to have Hughes and Nemec as a top pairing for the future is so exciting. And then you have Dougie Hamilton on your second pair, and you'll have Mohamed Doolin or whoever, a Tkachuk, like Jersey Joe mentioned, or whoever steps up. You got Marino. But I think the Nemec pick and the Marino acquisition definitely seems to be the writing on the wall for Damon Severson. But, that's whether that's this summer in a deal for Tkachuk or, next year. If they do keep him, the right side is good. But I thought the Devils did well, though, in the later rounds of the draft. They got Josh Phillum, I think was his name. And I looked at his stats, and for a 6th-round pick, to get a guy that had 67 points and 23 goals in the 6th round, looks like a pretty good value pick to me. I thought the Devils did good. They addressed a need in the drafting defense. And they took a goalie like they do every year. So.
Well, let's hope that this goalie can actually do something, because Jersey Joe actually made another correct prediction when the New Jersey Devils selected their goalie late in the round. So Jersey Joe, just the draft is just his forte. So what you said about Simon Nemec is that I feel as though what needs to be next in terms of his overall development is just getting him more offense. He has a great shot. I saw it in development camp. But one thing I want to see out of him is that I want to see more goals and him being more of a two-way player. But once he's paired alongside with Luke Hughes, who's a left-handed defenseman, I feel as though Luke Hughes will manage the offense on that respective line. And then you got someone like Nemec, who's there to just hold down the fort. He's there to play his defensive zone and basically just assert himself. But if Simon Nemec could just score more goals, I get that he went on a tear during the playoffs in that regards, but I want to see him develop it even more and take his game to another level, because a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, Simon Nemec, what are the Devils doing? They're idiots. Yeah, I heard it from my colleagues. I heard it on Twitter. I was frustrated, like you said, but it was mostly just because I was really looking forward to getting Slafkovský, because I just felt like Slafkovský, out of everyone in the top 5 in the draft, was the more NHL ready player. I just felt as though you could put him on the roster right now and he's going to have an impact. I thought Nemec would be a project. I thought he was going to play in Europe for another year or two before signing his entry-level deal. That wasn't the case, and now he's set to play North American hockey, whether that's with Utica or if he makes the team. So we got who we got in Simone Nemets, and I really hope that our buddy Jersey Joe gets it correct in terms of his overall development. So that's something I'm looking forward to. But let's transition over to the offseason. What were your expectations going into the offseason? Because obviously there was a big name player that was presumably set to go to New Jersey until Columbus Blue Jackets were like Superman and just swooped in.
So, you know, I knew we had the cap space, and like Fitzgerald had to kind of go all in a bit this offseason, you know, because if the Devils don't make the playoffs or they show any progression to come close to even contend for a wild card spot, you know, there's going to be questions that start to get raised about his job. I don't think that's fair, because I think he's done a phenomenal job. And where he's trending this team, I actually feel like there's actually a direction and a light at the end of the tunnel, you know, where we're going here finally for once. It didn't feel like that under Ray Shero. You know, they needed to land an impact player, and, you know, it's frustrating. And I had the same, like, reaction, you know, most Devils fans did. Like, I think I texted a coworker of mine, and I was like, my exact words was Columbus. Like, what? Like, really? And like the whole, like my whole reaction, like the next, like when I seen it was literally like, I think it was the one you had when you recorded the episode. You were just kind of like,
no, you saw that. Yeah.
Like,
I recorded that episode shortly after he made his decision. So those thoughts, that rant was 100% authentic. That was not me acting or spicing it up. That was actually me frustrated.
And I think what pissed me off more was he went on the Spit and Chicklets podcast and he said it was down to 2 teams, and a deal was close. You know, told my agent, like, you know, I was going to get a deal done with the Devils. I was going to sign there, and then Columbus.
Now, I don't know how true
and then he goes, no, I want to go there. Just how he worded it frustrated me. But
I really hope he's trolling. I really hope he was just trolling. I hope that was not the case. Or how do I say this? If that was actually the case, that's just devil's luck for you. Like, you know, sometimes Lady Luck doesn't want to dance with the devil, but
you want a superstar and a difference maker, and he is that. But like, that contract is gonna look like Columbus now is in a cap mess,
and they're the youngest team in the NHL now.
And I get it, but I don't understand why they did it. Like, they said, oh, we're gonna rebuild, we're gonna do this the proper way, and then they go out and they spend the money on Johnny Gaudreau, and it's like, what?
Yeah, I don't get their direction, because they want to keep Patrick Laine, but I'm just like, I'm just thinking about something like, how's the cap space for that going to work? And then they're the youngest team in the NHL as well. So it's just like, I'm glad they got their guy. You know, they got Johnny Hockey, but it's just like, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to presume out of it. It was just like, you know, he went for not only himself, he went for his wife. And, you know, it's just like, I have respect for that. And he said it's closer to home, but it's not too close. I think was basically where he was getting at. And it's just like, okay, I just feel so misled, and still painful to talk about to this day.
Yeah, it is, because it would have been nice to have a line of, you know, Gaudreau, Hughes, and Holtz, or Sharon Govich, and
he would have benefited so well on our top 6. I'm just saying.
Oh, 100% he would have.
And he would have just taken us to the next level. That was the problem. I'm just like, who's that player who's going to take us to the next level? When are we going to get our break?
Yeah, like, we got our break with Dougie Hamilton, but he makes a difference on the defense. We need somebody up front that's a game breaker and a difference maker, which is, you know, like, Palat's not going to do that, but he'll add the nastiness in front of the net. Like, he's not afraid to go to the corners and stuff like that, and he's clutch, which is something, you know, the Devils have lacked for a while, but it's all going to come down to their goaltending again. But, you know, the Matthew Tkachuk thing, like, it's out there. Nino Niederreiter signed today, so there's somebody else that's off the list. And, you know, I've heard that like the Devils are in the mix, and they did put a monster offer out there at the draft. But I know what they're gonna. If they want to get Tkachuk, I know who they have to include, and fans are gonna need to accept that.
Okay, I think I have a feeling where this is going. I think you're thinking of maybe Jesper Bratt, probably.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Rat Pack, I hope you are not listening to this episode, dude. I'm so sorry. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little later. But so according to Ryan Novozinski, who is a beat writer for the New Jersey Devils, he came on my show and he said the ultimate thing about the Tkachuk hypothetical trade scenario back on draft day, it was nothing more than just a tire kicker. Like the Devils were just trying to shop their or they weren't trying. They were just shopping a little bit for their second overall pick. And they're just like, look, what do you want for the second overall pick? Like, do you want, can we have this player and we'll give you the second overall pick? Yada, yada, yada. Nothing more about that second overall pick was just a tire kicker based on what Ryan informed me. So I think the same could be said for the Matthew Tkachuk hypothetical trade, which was, I think the New Jersey Devils were just shopping it a little bit, but I don't think those trade talks were anything serious.
No, and like now they'll probably ramp up a little bit too, and I'd expect the Devils to be in the mix, like. And the odds, we were the odds-on favorite for Johnny Gaudreau too, so you can't really look into that as much. Like I know it gets fans excited, but
were we the favorites? I thought the Flyers were the favorites. We were one of the favorites. I thought the Flyers. Yeah. Okay.
So, like, we can get into it whenever, but let's look at it here from a cap-wise financial standpoint for every team involved. So the listed, I'm a little unprepared here. I got to get
I use my phone sometimes. It's more convenient.
I just want the odds. I know I retweeted it too. So the Devils are the favorites at plus 400 and the Blues are second at 450. So those are the two teams that I've heard are in the mix. Obviously St. Louis is going to be rumored as the front runner because that's where he's from. But cap-wise, let's look at this. So the Devils, in order of favorites, Devils, Blues, Preds, Sabres, Senators, Stars, Islanders, Red Wings, Knights. Okay? So let's cross Vegas off the list because they got no money.
Right. They would have to, get a miracle.
Nashville, let's cross them off the list because they just signed Nino Niederreiter.
Makes sense.
Buffalo, you could make a case for Buffalo. Like, they got a good prospect system going. They could muster something up. Ottawa makes a ton of sense because of his brother.
Yeah, but they just got Alex DeBrincat.
Yeah. And then Dallas, I don't even know how they have any money. The Islanders, Lou's not going to pay $11 million. So really, if you were to ask me who the favorites are here, of all these teams mentioned, it would be Detroit, St. Louis, New Jersey, and I'll still say Ottawa because I'm sure they'd find a way to make it work to reunite the brothers. So those would be my four.
Yeah, so guys, we're doing something that I don't really do too often. We're talking about the betting odds for getting someone like Matthew Tkachuk onto the roster for the New Jersey Devils. Right now, the Devils are listed as the favorites because the Devils do have enough cap space to work with. They have the assets. They own their first-round draft pick in next year's draft. And not to mention, they have a lot of prospects. And going back to the assets, they have a lot of established players that they could try to, mix into the hypothetical trade scenario. So, you could go with Jesper Bratt. You could go with Andreas Johnson, Ryan Graves. I think a third team might have to be involved in order to make it fully work, though. That's my overall stance with it, which is I think it could work. Can it happen realistically? Yes. Do I think it's likely? No. But before we continue, Jake, I just want to say this one thing. So we got these betting odds courtesy of BetOnline.net. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including MLB, baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, NASCAR, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sport wagering information, from live betting, scores, and podcasts. They have everything you covered. Head to betonline.net today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, Jake, let's get back to discussing the betonline.net odds. And right now, you just said that the Devils are the favorites, plus 400, Blues plus 450, Predators plus 500, Sabres plus 600. So where do you see a hypothetical trade scenario working for the Devils in this sort of case? Because I've said Jesper Bratt might have to be involved, maybe Mackenzie Blackwood, Damon Severson. You could also go with Andreas Johnson, Tomas Tatar. You could go with a lot of established players on the roster already. And then you can obviously go to the prospect pool. I think a lot of people would be willing to trade Alexander Holtz for Matthew Tkachuk. I'm not entirely sure, because I've heard some difference of opinions from fans when it comes to involving Alexander Holtz. And obviously, like I said, the Devils own their first round draft pick in next year's NHL draft. So what do you see working best for the Devils this time around?
Well, if you look at it cap wise, then are they going to be? They're going to have a lot of cap space either way for the next while. So they could make Bratt and Tkachuk work, but value wise, like, Bratt's probably going to have to go back the other way. So I'll do it this way. So each player I mention, I'll explain it and what each player brings and whatnot, and then I'll ask you if you would take Matthew Tkachuk over that player. And okay. So Jesper Bratt, skilled finesse, excellent edge work, great hockey IQ, finish ability, playmaking ability. Had a breakout season of 73 points. Can he repeat it again? That is the question, everybody's asking. So, and he has chemistry with Jack Hughes. So would you take Matthew Tkachuk over Jesper Bratt, who brings goal scoring, physicality, nastiness, agitating, does everything you want in a hockey player on your team?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, I explained this on a show before. It's just like, I don't want the New Jersey Devils to gut themselves, if that makes sense. Because I've been seeing these crazy trade scenarios in which we have to work with a third team to shed some contract. I saw a trade scenario in which involved trading Damon Severson for picks, and then we use those picks to try to pursue Matthew Tkachuk in a three-way deal. And then, for Jesper Bratt, you're right. The one question mark that I had for Bratt, and it's one of the reasons why I think these contract negotiations are at an impasse and why he has scheduled an arbitration hearing, is just because the Devils are probably on their end just saying look, we know you had a good season. We know that you're expecting a big payday, but at the same time, it's just there's no guarantee that you're going to do this next year. Because in years prior, Jesper Bratt was solid, and I had nothing but good things to say about him. But for the most part, I didn't anticipate for him to be a borderline all-star. I think very few people did anticipate that. I expected solid production from Jesper Bratt. I remember my first year here at Locked On, I did a debate whether who do you want running the center on the second line, Nico Hischier or Jesper Bratt? Because when Nico Hischier went down last year and missed 2/3 of the year, Jesper Bratt really stepped up at the center position and actually held his ground pretty nice. So I was just how do you want that to work? Obviously, looking back on it, it wasn't really that smart of an episode to do, but still had fun with it. So at the end of the day, it's just I love Jesper Bratt. I love what he brings, and I just think he has a very bright future. Could he be a borderline all-star again? Could he actually make the all-star roster? I wouldn't put it past him, but including him into a trade for Matthew Tkachuk, I'm sorry, Jesper, but see ya. Between him, Hischier, and Hughes, he is the odd man out. He's the ugly duckling. Let me try that again. He's the ugly duckling in this sort of hypothetical scenario because Jack Hughes, franchise player. Nico Hischier, captain. Jesper Bratt, odd man out.
Yeah. He's part of the core right now.
He's part of the baby big three, as I like to call him. Yes.
Yeah.
But how far can he go? That's my thing. What's his ceiling?
Alexander Holtz, goal scorer, rumored drafted as one of the, terrorizing Swedish twins are in the draft. Legit goal scorer, unreal release, hockey IQ. Played 9 games last year before he was sent back, so the Devils didn't burn a year off his entry-level contract. Now, mind you, they didn't utilize him properly, but I noticed when he was playing, there wasn't a lot of urgency skating-wise from him. I kind of noticed he just kind of floated a bit. Like, he good at getting, but when he gets his chances, but he needs to be with Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier to have success. That's just like you can't put him with anybody else. Like, he needs to be with a playmaker. But are we gonna sit here and it all depends on their plan and how they want to build this team. Like, do they want to just keep having patience, and you hope that he turns into a legit goal scorer? Mind you, he did have a phenomenal season in Utica. Or do you want the guy that's more proven?
Well, obviously the guy who's more proven. But here's the thing about Alexander Holtz, and when I bring him up in trade scenarios, it's like I'm sort of on the fence when it comes to Alexander Holtz, because I feel as though if we trade him, if we give up on him too early, we're going to regret it. I feel as though for Alexander Holtz, it's just like he wasn't given a fair chance. Like, we didn't give him that chance to shine. We didn't give him that chance to have his opportunity. So that's my overall thing when it comes to Alexander Holtz and what he brings to the roster, which is I just hope that Alexander Holtz is able to develop in the right sort of way. But at the same time, we need to give him a position to succeed, which is why giving him a cup of coffee in the NHL is not going to do anything for him, which is why he saw more success in the AHL, albeit 2 different leagues. But at the same time, you ask, what opportunity was he given a chance to thrive in? And the obvious one is Utica. Utica utilized him. He was one of their top options. And he and AJ Greer, Chase DeLeo, all of them went on a tremendous run. And it was a shame that they couldn't win the Calder Cup. But at the same time, it's just like, you can't deny that the prospect pool is thriving for the New Jersey Devils. Now, for Alexander Holtz, it's like, if it's for Matthew Tkachuk, here's the thing. If it's like Jesper Bratt, Alexander Holtz, and someone else, I'd be a little hesitant just because I really don't want us to gut our roster. That's my thing. And that's what I've been telling people. I want to have Matthew Tkachuk on the roster. But what if we give up too much? Because I don't want us to give up too many assets for this one player. So it's just like, if you're not making that much money, would you, put all your money into a house, like a nice extravagant house? No, you wouldn't. You would live in an apartment. You would budget accordingly. So that way you're more prepared for the future, if that makes sense. So
I actually have some Matthew Tkachuk news, actually.
What's happening?
A little bit. So Kevin Allen says trading for Tkachuk makes sense, but the Detroit Red Wings aren't the favorite. So Ryan Pike, editor for Flames Nation, regular guest on Sportsnet 960, tweeted 2 hours ago, believed Calgary Flames suspected asking price for Matthew Tkachuk. What we are hearing is that the Flames will want a top forward, a premium prospect, and a first-round pick. So Jesper Bratt, Alexander Holtz, or one of the Devils' top prospects. And a first-round pick. Yeah, I'd still do it.
Okay, the Buffalo Sabres are somewhere shaking their heads because they had a similar asking price for Jack Eichel. They wanted a high round, or they wanted a high positioning draft pick in the same NHL draft. They wanted an established player. They wanted a top-notch prospect. And what do they get in exchange for Jack Eichel? So it's just look at the Alex DeBrincat trade. What did the Blackhawks get? I heard the Blackhawks were demanding a lot of first-round draft picks. They get 1 first-round draft pick. They get a second-round draft pick, I believe, in next year's draft, and also maybe another late-round draft pick. But I don't think, did they get any players in that trade scenario? It's been a while.
They got Peyton Krebs. He's pretty good.
Okay, but still, it's just
Alex Tuck, but yeah,
so it's just like the asking price is usually not the final price. Usually, you put that out there and you see what happens. Now, the Devils are actually in a good position right now because they're one of the few teams that could potentially offer, something like that if it comes around. And I think fans would still be okay with it. Giving up Jesper Bratt, a top-level prospect, and a first-round draft pick, I think they'd be okay with it because it's Matthew Tkachuk. If he's signed long-term and if he's on the come-up, then you do have to make that deal. But my thing is just like, be careful, don't gut yourselves, and don't get finessed here because, yes, I know that's the asking price for the Calgary Flames, but are they really in a position to, to be this greedy? Because there's not many teams that can afford Matthew Tkachuk. Like, the Vegas Golden Knights, I'm sure he would love to go to Vegas. They can't afford him. Or, a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs, they can't afford him. People are jokingly saying, let's put Columbus in the mix because why not? Because they got Johnny Gaudreau. I'm just like, with what assets? I don't think Patrick Laine is going to cut it.
So I decided to read that article that I just mentioned to you by Kevin Allen. And there's a interesting, couple paragraphs here. So the issue here for Detroit is that there will be several other teams bidding for Tkachuk. Some believe the St. Louis Blues are one of the favorites because Tkachuk is from St. Louis. We knew that. Already, we are starting to hear potential offers of top players like Robert Thomas or Jordan Kyrou. The New Jersey Devils general manager, Tom Fitzgerald, is related to the Tkachuk family, and there's been speculation about the Devils offering Jesper Bratt. He's a 23-year-old Swedish forward who scored 27 goals last season. Kyrou, 24, also scored 27 goals last season. The Devils were also trying to land Johnny Gaudreau. They're the one team that have plenty of cap space.
We would still have to get creative with our cap space. That's the thing. Because I think we would still have to unload with a player to just give us some more wiggle room because my buddies that pick pucks and pitchforks, they said, yes, we can afford Matthew Tkachuk, but barely.
So now that we know what the Flames asking price is, Jesper Bratt, Alexander Holtz, and a 2023 first, because that 2023 first has to be included in any deal if you want him.
Can it be top 3 protected?
See, I don't see why that's an issue. See, I would do top 3 protected. I wouldn't be upset if it was a 4th or 5th overall pick plus Bratt and Holtz, because Matthew Tkachuk is just that. That's what I want fans to understand here, listening to this, tomorrow when we put this out. A Matthew Tkachuk trade is a franchise-changing trade that can alter the entire direction of this team.
My thing is, I agree with everything you're saying. I totally get you. But my thing is, I just don't want the Devils to get too greedy and just gut themselves. But that, I know I'm repeating myself when I say that. I want Matthew Tkachuk. I just hope that, that asking price isn't the final asking price, if that makes sense. Because usually, and a lot of people have brought this up, usually teams who ask for this or that don't end up getting that or, this. They usually settle for less because they have no choice. So
I get what you're saying.
The Chicago Blackhawks, they gave up Alex DeBrincat for essentially nothing. I liked my hypothetical offer a little better because I said, I'll give you a first-round draft pick next year. I'll give you a second-round draft pick in this year's draft. I'll give you Pavel Zacha, and I'll give you a prospect not named Holtz, not named Hughes, and not named Mercer for Alex DeBrincat. I'll give you that. But lo and behold, I feel as though my offer was way better than what the Ottawa Senators offered, but that's why I'm an armchair GM. That's why I'm not in the front office. But
that's why we do silly season. That's it right there.
That's why we do silly season, everybody. So, and it's meant to be fun. But I mean, what do you think, Matt? Okay, so I recently talked to Christy Flannery of the Hockey Writers, and she said, here's the issue that the Devils should not fall into, because look at the Edmonton Oilers, because they're so top heavy, but they don't have any depth. Look at the Calgary Flames. they were top heavy, not much depth. So it's just like, would the Devils fall into that trap as well? Because I said one of the issues going into this offseason, we need more depth. We don't have consistent scoring outside of Bratt, Hischier, and Hughes. And Sharangovich and Mercer were inconsistent at times. So it's just like, you know, would the Devils be falling into that bear hole?
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, going back to where you were like hesitant on it, I understand 100% where you're coming from, because like both teams are going to be winning this trade essentially, because like Matthew Tkachuk's only 24. He's going to be good for his entire contract. Like if he signs 8 years, you're not worried about that. So, and you know, I talked to my guy, Jim Berger, the real insider. Give Jim a follow on Twitter. Guy knows his stuff. I just asked him if he would do Bratt, Holtz on the first for Tkachuk, and he said, yeah, he would. So Matthew Tkachuk is 24. So when his deal is up, he's 32.
So still relatively young. I'd say he's out of his prime, but still like, you know, his worst would still be better than our best.
Yeah, and you would 32, and you would probably still try and re-sign him to like a 5 or 6 year deal to take him till he's like 38 or 37. But you know, it's little things like that. And the way I look at it too is like, you know, people come in to play the Devils, and you know, the Devils are a skilled team and a fast team, but they're easy to push around. Matthew Tkachuk gives the Devils that like Brad Marchand, Tom Wilson kind of type of player, a guy who could still score goals, but you come in and you touch our star, well, guess what? We're not getting shoved around here. And then if you look at it from like I know Palat's 31 and Tkachuk's 24, and the defense is good now, and if you get solid goaltending, you know, you're heading in the right direction. But if you can roll out Tkachuk, Hughes, and let's say Mercer or Sharangovich, no, I'd like to see Mercer with him, because I feel like those two going in the corner on the wings would be phenomenal to see. But if you can roll out like Tkachuk, we'll say Tkachuk, Hughes, and Sharangovich, and then Palat, Hischier, and Mercer, like that's a pretty good top six.
That is a good top six, and I just hope that we have the depth, and I think the prospects can help fill that in, and you know, and help in that regards. So yeah. That's what I'm hoping for in that regards, and I really hope that, you know, the New Jersey Devils are able to do so. But like I said, Matthew Tkachuk on this team, that's a dream come true. But I'm just trying not to get my hopes up, because you know how like you're talking with that one girl, things are going well, and you know you're on the right path, and then boom, you know, something happens and you get your heart broken. You know, I think a lot of people can relate to that, but it's just like I don't want to fall down that hole again. Like it's just like I'm just trying to keep my expectations moderate. Yes, the Devils can do it, but I think the ball is in the court for the Calgary Flames, because it's just like, okay, what are we willing to get out of Matthew Tkachuk? Because we know he's going to be demanding for an extension. We know that we're going to have to get a high return package, because he's a very good player, an all-star, put up 100+ points. So that's something we definitely need to take into consideration when trying to move deep forward with this deal.
And we're going to have to leave it there for today, Jake. But don't worry, there's still more in store in tomorrow's episode. So part 1 is in the books. Part 2 will be posted tomorrow. And we are going to discuss Matthew Tkachuk even more. And I'm also going to ask Jake Wakely his overall opinions as to how the free agency process has gone for the Devils so far, despite missing out on Johnny Gaudreau. And like I sign out on every episode, continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. And Jake and I will catch you guys in the next episode. You don't want to miss it. We will see you there.